Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there is also a PayPal link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. Most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Arwin, Sleeping Warrior, and Stopping Traffic in my Rasta hat. Good to have you all.
Yo, yo.
Puff, puff, pass.
Good afternoon.
Hello, hello, hello. So, gentlemen, bit of housekeeping before we do anything else. Any signs of curvature?
Nope.
No.
Definitely not.
Any signs of axial rotation?
Nope.
Not of the earliest variety.
If only.
Any signs of a pressurized system without a container?
Nope.
Oof.
Pressurized system next to bullshit. I don't know. We have Soundly and Sean Hufford. That's pressurized system next to bullshit.
No.
Yeah,
we do have an outstanding issue with Conspiracy Cats. He seems to have fallen under the radar. We've let our guard down a little bit. We haven't been trolling him enough. He made a statement that was that gas atoms or gas particles escape into space every single day. But Bill Nye says that we live in a closed system. Now, I'm not sure because I'm stupid, but we're told that rockets can go to the moon. Now, if rockets can go to the moon, we must be in an open system because matter can leave and rejoin. So we must be in an open environment unless the moon landings didn't happen. So Conspiracy Cats has been getting like flooded with comments back and forth for the last few days, and he's been ignoring them. And we've seemed to have took the pedal off the metal, and we need to get back onto that because I want to know which one it is. Is it Bill Nye's closed system, the way he says, or is it Conspiracy Cats that says it's an open system? And if so, how do we have a gas pressure with an open system? Because we need a container by definition, right? And he doesn't seem to be wanting to answer that. He seems to be making it into personal so that he can avoid it. And I think that's a yellow card. I think that's a crime. So we're going to have to get back onto the Conspiracy Cats one because I want to know which one is it. Is it open or is it closed? And if it's closed, then why is atoms going into space? But if it's open, then how did the moon landings happen? Either way, the fact. Sorry.
Well, it goes without saying that it's open. So the standard rhetoric is we went to the moon. That's not been somehow pushed into the realms of conspiracy, or nobody in the public has been told that the moon landings didn't happen. As far as everybody is concerned, the Earth is a sphere. We have gas pressure next to a vacuum. Men can leave the planet and go to the moon. It is an open system by definition. So it doesn't make any difference what Conspiracy Cats claims. My question is how, given that you are in an open system where you can have matter transfer from the open system to space, the vacuum, how can you have the gas pressure without a container? That's my question. I want a practical demonstration of how that is even possible.
Rasta, can you mute?
Yes,
I did it. I muted him and then he unmuted because he thought I attacked him.
Oh, shit. Sorry.
You're making loads of noise, dude.
Anyway, moving on. So, any evidence for the distance to the sun?
Hold on. I had something to say still about
go
the
ahead.
vacuum without
By all means,
the
Owen, go ahead. My bad.
pressure without a container. If you would assume for a moment that there is an outer space out there, then that could be a possibility if the outer space, if the universe was, I'm going to bring it in again, looping, then if the entire outer space wasn't a vacuum, but instead, a low gas pressure, and with that, I'm not saying near a vacuum even, but just like super high altitude level atmosphere everywhere, everywhere.
Yeah, but Arwin, if unicorn fart smelt nice, we could all use it as aftershave, right?
No, but yeah, I know. I get the point. It's still an if situation. But yeah, if that were the case, then it could be, that the entire universe is the container, and what is it again? The entropy would have already been, have taken place. But
Can we please talk about Elon Musk like for a bit, you guys? Let's just do that. Let's just do that.
Well,
we got to do it.
We're not finished with housekeeping. Let's finish it off.
Well, no. Elon Musk's related to gas pressure next to a vacuum, so I'm happy to talk about Elon Musk because he's got SpaceX, one of the only other non-NASA related, very public space agencies.
was something about Elon Musk that I read.
Well, he was on Joe Rogan yesterday, and so there's a bunch of hubbub.
Oh, that was it. And there were supposedly now doubts or complaints because he was smoking cannabis on that show. It's weird.
How do you know he's smoking cannabis?
It comes down to security clearance. Nobody is allowed to hold a federal security clearance who has ever acknowledged even doing any type of drug, which cannabis is included on that list.
But how do you know it was?
I was going to say, I want to know how anybody knows, because it could have just been a rollie, right?
I posted it somewhere.
It was what they call a blunt. It's a cigar where the tobacco is taken out and cannabis is put inside of it.
How do you know that, though?
I was going to say, how do you know that, though?
Oh, because it was explained on the show.
Oh, he admitted it?
Explained.
Oh, yeah, they were very clear, yeah.
Oh, right, cool. I like that.
So they were quite overt about it. They said, this is cannabis, we're now smoking it.
Joe went into great detail to Elon as he was showing him first what it was. Elon was very questioning as to why it looked the way that it did, and basically why it looked like a cigar and not like a standard cannabis cigarette that he's used to seeing, I guess. And so Joe went into great detail as to all the combining of tobacco and cannabis lore and whatnot.
That's excellent. I see that as two fingers up to the establishment. Well done, Elon.
What are you talking about? Elon Musk perpetuates the very bullshit that we're talking about right here, right now. I mean,
I know.
I'm gonna get annoyed if you just sent it.
The way I see that's like overt defiance for some reason, right? And that must be for
it throws the whole thing into a loop, you guys, because it basically puts into jeopardy all SpaceX and all government contracts that he's involved with.
I agree. I mean, I don't accept any of them as true anyway. So, I mean, it doesn't loop it for me. What it does for me is I read that as defiance for some reason, objective, but overt defiance for some reason. So whatever's going on, he's probably sticking two fingers up at somebody for some reason. And I like that. I think that's great.
Well, what's the law as it stands in the States? That is it still illegal under federal law?
Yes.
Right. So it doesn't matter that he's in a particular state, then he's breaking a federal law then?
Because he has federal contracts with security clearance.
Yeah.
So basically he's saying, sue me, prosecute me, lock me up, right? And I bet you it doesn't happen, but that's defiance for some reason, right? He'll not be doing that because he wanted a joint. He'll be doing it to make a political statement of some kind.
Oh, yeah, because all he did was take one puff that he clearly didn't even inhale on, and so it was clearly like a power move. But in addition to that, it absolutely has to right then and there nullify any of his government security clearances, bar none.
Nah, power move would have been if he'd have huffed on a piss bong after pulling it with Joe Rogan and blew it in the camera's face. That would be a power move.
Rasta, why are you making so much background noise? What's going on?
Oh, I'm just outside, not a bad mic. Hang on. Sorry.
Anyway, I mean, what are they going to stop him from doing? Stop him from not going to space, really? Is that what they're going to, that's what he's got clearance for?
Yeah, they're bringing into question his credibility as a professional space explorer, right? By virtue of the fact that he had a puff on a cigarette that may have had weed in it. Look, I mean,
that has nothing to do with it. It has to do with the security clearance violation.
Yeah, it'll make
Well,
them more
hang on,
strict. Now he has to double check everything and
Hang on,
ask more permissions.
does it necessarily mean that because they said it had cannabis in it, that it actually did have cannabis in it? Maybe the double bluffing, making people think there was cannabis in it. Again, for political reasons, you got to look.
I understand that, but what the thing is before you go into the military or the Coast Guard, which is not technically Department of Defense, it's technically Department of Transportation. They ask you all of these legal disclosure questions, and you have one of those questions is, have you ever consumed any of these federally regulated substances? And if you answer yes, then you're not even allowed to enlist. And so, second of all, before you get a security clearance, you have to answer that same list of questions. And if you answer yes, they're not going to give it to you. And if you answer no, and it's proven to be fraud, then you're subject to basically incarceration.
Yeah, but that doesn't. Even if he did smoke cannabis, that doesn't change the fact that at the time he filled the form in, that may well have been true. Probably wasn't. But has anybody got evidence to the contrary? But also, have you got evidence that these questions even exist?
Oh yeah, I was in the Army, so yeah, I answered those same questions myself.
Fair enough.
The political controllers need a good reason for him to be locked up to actually do that. And I think that he is currently one of their pawns, as it were. He's in a play right now fulfilling a role, so I don't think they're going to do that just because they could. Because, who is Elon Musk getting in the way of? Not a lot of people.
Every single thing you see on TV is manipulated and controlled by the media. None of this is unintentional. None of this is accidental. It's carefully planned. It's carefully thought out. There will be motivations and reasons behind him doing it. But for me, it's kind of benign. It's like, so what? Okay, he smoked a joint on TV. Yeah, it may affect his security clearances. Everything he stands for is fake. Space isn't real. We've been lied to on a massive scale, and he's part of it. That, to me, is a much bigger deal than him smoking a joint. I couldn't give a crap.
Yeah, but his cars are good.
Say again?
But his cars are good.
Are they?
I think so. I want one.
Held together with...
That's hit and miss.
Held together with glue and dreams, as far as I'm aware. But there we go.
Cars are dangerous.
No, they're no more dangerous than any other car.
No.
Anyway,
there's a lot of issues
what
with
happens?
the Tesla cars here.
You know what happens to
debate
Tesla
of
cars?
Electric over gasoline. Let's stick to flat Earth.
But listen, there's specific problems with the car. That is, if they crash into a wall or into something pretty hard, then there's a big chance that the battery will break, burst open, and then create a fire. Like, not a small percentage of chance that happens. There's a lot of people roasting.
It's no more risky
in their cars.
It's no more risky than a fuel tank rupturing, pissing petrol everywhere, and then catching fire with the exhaust.
No, it's not even remotely the same dangers. In the movies, that always happens because they can, because it's a spectacle. It's good to see, but in reality, that rarely ever happens.
Right. So how many accidents have there been with Teslas that have burst into it? Look, it's me.
A lot.
Who cares? Who cares? If they
like more than 50%.
But who cares? We're talking about electric cars.
So
what?
Who cares? It's like
seriously?
an immediate danger.
I mean, number one, Arwin, you're wrong. Gasoline cars burst into flames all the time.
No.
They do.
No, they don't.
All the time, Arwin.
They're carrying a tank full of explosive.
What kind of cars are you talking about?
They're carrying a tank full of explosive liquid. Or gas when it's explosive. But the point is that they're carrying around explosive materials.
Yeah. And it's moot anyway. It
has to be ignited.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
they've got electrical systems that run through cars that are easy to ignite things if any of the electrical wires become perforated in a crash. So, I know what you're saying, but this is kind of moot. Who cares whether his cars are any good? The guy is flagging every person that we have space. He's convincing the world that they go out in rockets.
No, I was just countering the idea that his cars are like all that great because, they're interesting. But they have some very serious problems.
There's something else there.
Sorry. Did you guys hear that little bit of hangout bleeding in through in the background?
You're going to keep doing it.
Are you communicating with somebody?
Yeah, I had Slice Barcane saying, there's someone else there in my background. My bad. I'm sorry about it, guys.
It's still funny, though.
Which actually comes in as a convenient...
Coordinating?
Comes in as a convenient segue, right?
No, we haven't even finished housekeeping.
Oh, go on then.
Well, well, we haven't even discussed any of the main elements of Elon Musk and his deception about space. It's just me going, he's deceiving us about space. And you go, yeah, but electric cars might burst into flames.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, again, it is moot. Let's move past that point because it's not really directly flat Earth related, right?
Right, but the question that brought about Elon Musk being in the conversation was, how can you have gas pressure without a container? And essentially, Elon Musk is amongst the people that are telling the world, oh yeah, of course the Earth violates the second law of thermodynamics. We can go out. Yeah, we go out. We put cars out there beyond the barrier that's not a barrier that holds the pressure. You're like, what? This guy's part of that deception.
I still think there's a huge issue when it comes to security clearance violations that are going to really, really play into perhaps the next couple of weeks or months of the debate here.
But the security clearance is
but
it's just a stage. It's just a stage. You hearing about? I know you're saying it's in your personal experience that you have.
Sorry.
So you're saying it's in your personal experience that you have to have security clearances, and therefore it's an issue because he's on TV violating something that has security clearances attached to it. But if you know that, loads of other people know that. So therefore, it will have been taken into consideration when they put it out in the media.
It's a huge deal. His stock has dropped 90% in the last 24 hours, and numerous missions have been put on hold with SpaceX. And his head of HR quit, and one of their somebody just lower than their CEO as well quit just within 45 minutes after the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yep, I heard that too. It sucks for him.
Okay. So they're cancelling the missions to space that don't exist.
Yeah. Apparently.
Okay, but they weren't going to space in the first place. They never have been to space.
That's just like Greater Sapiens trip. They've cancelled Greater Sapiens trip that was never going to happen anyway. So they're not really cancelling a trip, are they? They're just covering a lie.
Exactly.
But they're creating a new way of getting around it.
Exactly. So this is just a ham-handed segue away from the overall deception. Oh, look, well, now he might have security clearance issues. He's smoking drugs. No, he's lying about the nature of reality. Let's get it right. Let's get the crime correct. He's deceived the entire Western world. Anybody who's exposed to him is under the impression that there's a bloody Tesla in space. Well, forget the Tesla. Let's worry about the space bit that doesn't exist.
Yeah. I do tend to agree. The bigger picture is that what you just said.
Anyway, I think now I've drummed that home. Let's move on. Is there any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Show us the ice wall, man. I'm going to reassert what I said yesterday.
Where's the edge? Where's the edge?
Yeah. If they're going to demand that we show the edge, then we demand that they show the core, right? Come on. Where's that core, boys and girls?
You guys know the update says that the core is solid and not molten iron. That they've changed the education.
What? No, they've not. It was always solid. That's not true. I had that. That was hangout with Gio.
Molten? Are you serious?
No, seriously, it's solid according to what they say.
Serious?
Then why do you keep saying molten iron?
Well, because it's molten iron throughout, and it's only the very core that's solid, but most of it, the rest of it's molten. It's actually supercritical to be technical, but that's beside the point. It's a semantical argument. But
how can the center be solid?
It can't. That's the reason why we say it.
Well, they say that it's solid and not molten.
Well, it can't be either. It's supercritical on their model, and it's neither a gas nor a liquid, nor it's something called superfluid, supercritical. And when it becomes supercritical, it becomes it becomes science fiction. It doesn't actually exist in a state that they tell us is solid, liquid, or gas. It's weird.
Well, supercritical does exist because CO2 can be turned into supercritical CO2 when you raise the temperature and it becomes liquefied.
Right, but you know when I make the ice creams point, which is if you go to ice creams, you can't take 5 ice creams off me and leave me with -3 ice creams. Can iron become supercritical at, is it 10,000 degrees Celsius, or does it just burn off the way that it does in the lab? Now, what's the answer?
Yeah, it becomes white hot and then it gasifies.
Right, that's what they say.
Right, but if it's trapped within the confines of the so-called ball Earth, then it's not going to be escaping.
But they still got to prove that there is a molten iron core or a solid iron liquid supercritical fluid thing that we're all led to believe is the core of the Earth. So whatever it is that's down there, they've got to prove it, and they
They
can't.
need to prove that there's iron at all, because the fact is they continually espouse that they've only drilled down approximately 8 miles, 8.17 miles.
Yep.
I believe the Russians did that.
Yep.
And that's nowhere near the core, and that's nowhere near of point of validation for any type of iron.
And what was the main produce that they got out of it when they started digging at that depth?
Water, I believe.
They did get some water, but the main composite element that came out was boiling hydrogen mud, not iron, not nickel, hydrogen. Why? Who knows? Who cares? But it's not what they were telling us or what they would expect, because
it wasn't ridden with halogen in any way, shape, or form. There was no heavy metals and halogens to speak of. No, I'm saying I agree. There was no heavy metals and halogens.
Sorry, I thought you misheard what I said.
No. There was no heavy metals and halogens.
Correct.
So can I just ask the question again then? Can I just ask the question again? So is there any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Yes.
The closest we've got is the Kola super deep borehole in Russia. That's it. That's as close as we've got.
Sorry.
And no iron.
Correct. Centre of a presupposed spherical Earth isn't 12 kilometres. So is that a no?
Welcome, Earth Flattener.
Hey, Earth Flattener.
That's affirmative.
An affirmative? You mean a negative?
You said is that? Oh yeah. So then, all right. I misspoke. Yes, it would be a negative.
What about the presupposition itself? Any evidence of Earth radius?
No, absolutely none.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Power of silence. There you go, Arwin. You've just learned the power of silence.
You haven't.
Somebody else who hasn't learned the power of silence is apparently Antonio.
Oh,
He can't keep Nathan and Anthony out of his mouth.
Really?
Yeah, did you see the video? It was a few days ago. I posted in the Master Beat chat.
No, I don't watch.
That was just yesterday.
Not a subscriber, I'm afraid.
I haven't noticed it. I got the clip from basically somebody sent me the clip of Antonio saying that Patricia does not wear a mask, and because it was directly relevant to Pete's nonsense assertions about her, that was the only bit I saw. I saw the beginning of one of his hangouts, and I could tell by his tone that he was going to double down on the Patricia being a man thing, so I switched off and I didn't watch any more of it, and I didn't know he'd done any more, so I guess he
did a hangout called Nathan Oakley Under Pressure.
Yeah, it's 5 days old.
Is it 5 days old?
Yeah, September 3rd.
I thought he just did it yesterday.
No.
Did he have any evidence of
I came across it because it just popped up in the recommended list all of a sudden.
Nathan, are you feeling that pressure?
I assume this is in relation to the presupposition of Earth radius.
That's why I brought it up, because it's pressure next to a vacuum or not.
Oh, I see. So was there any evidence of a gas pressure without a vacuum in any of this information that's being discussed?
No.
I couldn't tell what his point was, so, if there was evidence there, I didn't see it.
Just like, oh, you're not doing it good enough. Oh, you're making us look like a fool, blah, blah.
Well, I can help with what
Antonio, as Antonio does.
I can probably help with a citation from Dell with regards to what Antonio's up to. I don't have to apply it; you can apply it yourself. But if I can play the words that Dell says, and then you maybe can make your own minds up as to whether or not it applies, that would really help. Because Dell's phrase that he said the other day in his hangout was fantastic.
You should repeat it rather than.
I don't want to get it too verbatim. I don't want to get it too wrong because I'll probably make a mess of it. But it was words to the effect of, and I am paraphrasing for those that are going to try and quote me on it. He said words to the effect of, "It's the people that deliberately try and muddy waters that don't need to be muddied that you need to be questioning." They were the word. That was the gist of what he was saying. So whatever he's going on about, sure, I'm sure his subs all believe it. But what's he actually doing? Is he doing good, or is he trying to stir the shit cauldron and then not lick the spoon? So it's up to you. You can decide what you think.
Anyway, can we round out
He's
housekeeping?
warning his own public in plain
Clearly
sight.
not.
Can we round out? Yeah, let's round out on housekeeping.
Finally. So, any proof of the distance to the sun? Hey, Chocolate.
No proof.
Good morning.
The only evidence that seems to be is a radar, the assertion that a radar measurement from Earth to Venus and then back again is the proof to the distance, because it takes a certain amount of time, which can only work if the Earth's stationary, because the Earth moves in the time that it takes for the signal to go out and come back. Now, I've seen Simon Dan's explanation for that, but that misrepresents what the signal's actually doing. The signal's not doing the way he presents it, and he's misrepresented what the signal's doing, and he needs to correct that, otherwise it's deceitful. But he's not going to do that. But no, I want to see the proof that a signal from a radar gun of some kind or whatever can ping out to as far as Venus, as they tell us, bounce all the way back again, and then show that the Earth, how the compensation, because Simon Dan's words were that they do make the adjustment, right? Well, I want to see that adjustment, and I want to see how they did it, because I'm calling bullshit. I don't think there's any radio wave that's gone out to Venus and come back again and then an adjustment made for it. I think that's complete horseshit.
Yeah, I really wonder how would they do that, and what the difference would be when they do it with the moon. Is it going to bounce back quicker? Really? Is it?
I don't think it even bounces back. I think what happens is it bounces off our own atmosphere and comes back.
Yeah, but if that were the case, then there would be a measured consistency in the distance, basically.
Yeah, that's why it needs to be validated and verified as true.
Hold on.
Yeah,
This is covered in
It's a
other
good
parts of
experiment
the
to test.
housekeeping. So they get the distance based on a presupposition of R. So first and foremost, if they're going to use that to give you distance, they need to prove R. So that's the first problem. Second problem is the medium that they are measuring through is a medium that cannot exist because it defies the second law of thermodynamics. So you can't have gas pressure without a container. Entropy is real. However, they assert that we live in an open system next to a vacuum. Now, as far as I'm concerned, unless someone can actually make a practical demonstration of something defying the second law of thermodynamics, their made-up medium that we've never visited, does not exist. So it makes no odds to me what they say they're doing with radar through this medium that I don't know exists, and there is no proof of, and it defies the second law of thermodynamics. So if you're going to use that measurement, you need to give me proof of space and proof of R. I couldn't give a crap what they claim the measurement does. Number one, it's just a radar. Number two, we're asking Dan specifically for scientific evidence of the distance to the sun. That's why we went to Simon Dan, right? So I'm expecting formulated scientific hypothesis backed by systematic experimentation to prove the distance to the sun. Or to put it another way, I want science.
Yeah, and he hasn't given us any. He gave us the rhetoric, which is, I expressly stated I didn't want the rhetoric, I understood it. I wanted the evidence, and he gave nothing.
Right,
Hey, Chocolate.
that concludes our housekeeping.
Yay!
You forgot Bill Miller.
Hey,
What's
Apollo,
up, bro?
good to see you.
Hey, Apollo.
Hello. All right.
So earlier somebody said that SpaceX cut its space travel by 40%, and that happened actually before, and it seemed to be attached to space or to Trump's Space Force.
I didn't say anything about reducing it by 40%.
What did you say about it?
I just said that there's been a hiatus on a couple
Right.
of satellite missions out of Vandenberg that were just announced within the last 12 hours.
Right.
This is all information that has changed just as of post Joe Rogan podcast. Nothing before, nothing at all.
Yeah, it doesn't change anything.
Are we talking about fallout from Elon Musk's little weed smoking? And
Yes.
Okay.
I smoked weed before.
So it's all falling.
You're
I'm phoning
Dutch.
the police.
He smoked
Right, someone
some
get him
weed.
arrested. Did you hear that? He confessed.
Ah,
So,
but
like,
he's
that-
Dutch. It's allowed.
So wait, so they're literally like cutting space programs and shit because this guy smoked weed.
What space programs that didn't exist in the
what-
first place? you mean?
Exactly.
Right,
what
of
space
course.
programs? They're not going to space. Space isn't real. Space is fake. You can't have gas pressure without
Right.
a container, etc.
And let's be honest, right? If they were to cut the funding for a space project that did actually exist, all because he had a smoke and a joint, bloody hell, everybody would be in jail, wouldn't they? And it clearly doesn't happen.
Well, Jaren has footage of the astronaut basically doing cocaine on the ISS, and he still kept his job.
No,
Yeah.
that's got to be a lie. Jaren has got footage of somebody having a line of coke on the ISS. You kidding?
No, I'm not kidding in any way, shape, or form. Come on, guys.
Was it on that video that they sent him on his hard drive? I hope it was.
No, he posted it. God, a couple months ago.
Was
I'd
it a
say it's
joke?
probably like
Was it
8
a
or
joke,
9
though?
videos down.
Was it a joke?
On his main page? It's a really, really awesome video, and it's really long.
But is it a joke? Is it just like taking the mickey?
No. You can see so much. I mean, the guilt, the cocaine wipe off his face, the bag, the actual tutor that he's snorting through. I mean, Jaren doesn't make videos unless he's got the info. I mean, it was what it was. The video is very, very clear.
Okay, I don't know whether or not you're winding me up. I'll check it out.
You can ask
So-
Arwen. I'm not going to waste your time. I wouldn't waste your time. It is what it is.
Then Elon Musk smoking weed just gave them a whole new narrative to play with then.
Yeah, I see that's why I quizzed you, Rasta, because basically it's exactly the same plot line, isn't it? If that was the case, if what you say is correct, and there's some astronaut hoovering up a line of coke, or even a joke about it, then it distracts from the actual deception. Oh, right, he's doing a line of coke in space. He's doing a line of coke on the ISS. It's like, no.
I don't think it was supposed to be seen. It wasn't something that was highlighted. It was, I mean, the method in which he was conducting himself was pretty clear. He basically sees himself on the monitor and then essentially starts to deal with his items and whatnot. And then you can clearly hear basically him snort a big old gagger, and then you can hear him crinkle like stuff. And then basically when he sits back up, you can see him still holding the tutor in his hand. And then basically he looks at himself in the monitor, sees that he has cocaine on his face, has a look of guilt, like, I mean, the worst hand in a cookie jar you could ever imagine, and then basically reluctantly wipes his face.
Yeah, just another... It's obviously there for our consumption. It's obviously there for us to see. The whole thing is filmed on a set. There's nothing that is ever... It is a comparison. So when you watch back Tarantino movies, you'll often pick up on really subtle details that have been worked into the scene that you didn't see the first, second or third time you watch the movie. And you won't necessarily know that it's even a detail that you're supposed to be looking at till someone points it out to you. You just don't notice. But it's all contrived. It's all done intentionally. It's filmed on a set. So if you can have the audience think about... it's a suspension of disbelief. If you can get the audience focused on an aspect of the play, then you're no longer paying attention to the scenery and the set. It's called the suspension of disbelief. It's just an acting technique to distract you from the farcical nature of what's going on in front of your very
Perhaps
eyes.
it was to distract from the fact that the guy's sitting there blowing lines of cocaine basically while he's doing an elementary school interview.
Yeah, it's a complete nonsense. I mean, to assume that's not been put there for our consumption is, for me, beyond comprehension. I can't ever envisage that not being there for our consumption. It's on a television screen, and nothing that goes onto the television screen isn't thought about. Yes, there's exceptions with live broadcasts occasionally, but on the whole, everything that comes from that studio is pre-packaged, thought about in advance, carefully constructed, framed and shot, because it's a studio. That's how studios work. But it's akin to back in the day when people didn't have televisions and they went to the theatre. Hello, music. How you doing?
Hello.
Good to have you.
Good, and you?
Good to have you.
Thanks.
It's the same principle as if you go to a theatre production. How good the director has set the scene is how well you will ignore the periphery, the wings, the people around you. And if you're trying to not... You're trying not to alienate your audience. You're trying to engage them so they believe the narrative. And in this instance, the narrative is about snorting cocaine, even though it's subtle, even though it seems like you shouldn't be watching that. But believe me, nothing goes on a set without the understanding and knowledge of everybody involved in that production. So they absolutely knew what they were putting in front of the audience, even if it was just some reflection of some camera. That's, you know, that's just how it is. They want you to anomaly hunt. They want you to pull apart the camera that isn't working, the CGI layers that aren't working properly, because you're always talking about it happening in space. So it works for them, for the anomaly hunters, to go out and look for these things, you know, because you're not addressing the overall concern. It's the same with Elon Musk. Forget about the joint, forget about the line of cocaine. This is all part of the play. What you need to pay attention is it's on a stage. You know, look where you are. You've got people around you watching it going, yeah, that's really happening. No, it isn't. It's on a stage.
Does anybody want to address the NASA child pornography issue?
I have no idea what that is.
We need some evidence that it's true. Saying it's true doesn't make it true, right? We need to know what evidence there actually is, and we haven't got it. At this point, it's a story. Maybe true, probably is true, maybe not true, probably is not true. How can you comment on something that we don't know the evidence for?
I'm saying I don't know what evidence was ever actually fully compiled. Like, I was just curious if anybody else knew any more information as to that situation. Like, I was just curious if anybody else.
Hello, whoever's just
Here's
joined.
music.
Can you pop your watch page on mute?
No, it was Music Freak opened his mic and he's got loads of background noise. I'm not sure what's in this background, but it sounded like kids or something. So,
My bad.
Anyway, the answer is, how can we comment on something that we don't know any evidence for? Either way,
I didn't know what evidence existed one way or another. That's why I brought it up.
I don't know. Does anybody else know any of the evidence for this? What is the allegation again? Is it pedophile ring? Is that what it is?
It was more than 70% of the personal hard drive space or something like along those lines. That had pretty critical terminology used, but essentially it equated to 70% of the NASA's employees' personal hard drive and server like information basically contained child pornography.
Interesting. Interesting assertion, but I don't know.
It's not my assertion. I'm not making allegations. These are not my allegations.
All right, but just to realize that those could also be planted.
Or bullshit.
Or bullshit, part of the narrative again.
Yeah, right.
If it's describing paedophilia, which is very prevalent in the news at the moment, then it's going to catch people's attention, and they're focused on the paedophilic astronauts who go to space, not the fact that they don't go to space, that space is not real. It's about
Can we talk about why the females go ahead and spray their hair with the hairspray as opposed to actually like taking footage how they would on a Vomit Comet style plane where they can actually get floating hair? You know what I mean? Like, at least the look, because the way that they go about it, I mean, is the most cartoonish ridiculousness. I mean, I don't see how they're trying to get adults to basically go along with that. I mean, that's pretty crazy.
They wanted that because they wanted longer lasting shots.
Well, no, the reason that they don't have it is because when they got the Vomit Comet footage with their hair waving, they took out certain aspects and elements and then mapped them so that they could use them in later photography when they're on high wires. One of the examples is things like necklaces, bubbles of water, you know, various items that generally float in space, but not hair. You can't map that. It's too difficult. So you can't map on top of someone's face without it being glaringly obvious that they've got a CGI layer attached to them. They're a person. So the only way they can get around that is to just have them gel their hair up.
Let's talk about the brothers Kelly and their CGI footage as far as on the space station is the most asinine of all the astronauts. It's the most ridiculous head to body out of scale comparison, like I think out of all the astronauts and all the footage, where the head CGI looks like it's about 4 or 5 times too large for the man's body mass when we actually have seen him. And really? As well, I believe if this plays in to the ability for the other space programs in other countries to basically, just like they do in the movies, replace an actor's face with an actor from where they're at. So they can just take like Scott Kelly's face off and put on like a Chinese astronaut to be broadcast over in China, for example. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Whoa.
Oh, I think that might be a technical glitch as opposed to people sniping.
Yeah, they dropped it, didn't get sniped.
It's just mobiles dropping as opposed to people sniping. The only reason I say that, Arwen, is because you'd be the first to go. Not for any malicious reasons. I think you're just top of the list if someone joins to snipe.
Or Apollo.
Yeah, Apollo would probably be one of the first to go as well. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back.
Back again. Thanks.
I was kicked but came back.
Yeah, you all dropped. Glitch.
No, I didn't actually know that, Rasta. So what you're saying is... So I'm completely wrong, so I'll take it all back. So you're saying they absolutely do map people's faces onto bodies and such?
Oh yeah, I mean that's pretty low level. I mean honestly, like that's the same way that they're doing. Why you're seeing a lot of the movies coming out of American Hollywood that you are being 95% CGI is not to please the American audience. It's to please the international market, mainly China, because they're able to simply just put in the faces of Chinese actors into, like, for example, like Transformers and Power Rangers and superheroes and things like that. And so when you see those movies in China, you're not going to see the American actors' faces within the little suits and stuff. You're going to see Chinese actors that are well known over there.
But it also softens us up to generally seeing CGI on TV screens also.
You're damn right.
Yeah, burn your TV. It's evil. TV's the devil.
In Apollo's imagination, he thinks he saw the ISS being built in real time when he was just watching an animation. So yeah, they condition us to CGI for sure.
Let's talk about when they built the lunar rover outside of the LEM or something like that. Because I mean, that lunar rover, those tires, those tractor tires, you know, they were almost as big as the craft, you know, that the guys allegedly came down and landed on the moon in.
Sorry.
And so I'm trying to figure out how they got
you do this. Sorry,
that
gotta
little
stop you.
lunar
Gotta stop
rover
you. Gotta stop you.
built,
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Gotta stop you. No, you don't know their narrative well enough. So they had a whole team of German engineers from, I think, Mercedes-Benz come in to work alongside the astronaut engineers, whatever you want to call them, to figure out how to get £10 of shit into a £5 bag. So in essence, they folded in the wheels on a sprung-loaded mechanism that came out of that little tiny hole that they showed, and they demonstrated it on camera on multiple occasions with varying degrees of spring loading to get it out of that cabin. So their narrative for getting the lunar rover into the LEM is fairly watertight. Doesn't change the fact that you can't have anybody leaving an open-closed system. You can't change the fact that we've got gas pressure without a container. All those things still stand. But in terms of most moon-based narratives and the debunkings that go along with them, you can easily unpick the debunkings. And that's intentional also. They will put out what you think is a debunking into the alternative media so that you'll latch onto it, spout it, and then have them come back with the official narrative, which does actually make sense. But the reason for that is simple. If you say, I can debunk NASA because you can't get a lunar rover into a LEM, and then they show you them doing it, then they will claim that that proves that it happened. Well, it doesn't. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't change the fact that space isn't real, you know, that it's all nonsense. None of that changes.
They'll show you them packing it in, perhaps, which I haven't seen, but I have yet to see them pack the lunar rover and themselves into it, and then also get out on the moon and then build that son of a bitch.
Okay, I've seen footage of that. I have seen footage of that. Not on the moon, but I've seen them testing it and pulling the lunar rover out of the LEM. I have seen that. I could find you a video. Probably not immediately, but I could definitely find you a demonstration of that. Sorry, my point is simple. They want you to argue about the logistics of whether or not a certain aspect of lunar travel is possible. Because when they prove you wrong, it proves them right in the eyes of anybody who's listening to the discussion. So this is why I got quite snappy with Arwen about a week ago when he did exactly what Anthony did earlier with the radar. Don't debunk this nonsense technology-based evidence. You've got two avenues you can pick from. Both will obliterate it before it's even got off the ground. Number one, ask them for their scientific evidence of anything that they claim. In this instance, vacuum of space. Where's your scientific validity for that horseshit, bullshit narrative? Yeah? They don't have any. The other one is to debunk the medium itself. How do you have gas pressure without a container? We're in an open system with gas pressure. How is that even possible? It defies the second law of thermodynamics. If you get rid of the medium, all bets are off for everything they claim. But if you start debating them on how and why their technology works, they'll just show you how their technology works and claim a victory. Therefore, we went to the moon. Look, you can get a lunar rover into a lane with people in it. Therefore, we went to the moon. No, but they seem like they've won the argument.
Oh, I fully agree. And that was just a hilarious, basically tangent of topicality, but your points are absolutely exactly where my own standpoint as well.
I hate to jump down your throat. It's just, I used to be well into NASA. I was a fanboy. I liked it. I watched all that crap. You know, I was left with an empty feeling for a long number of years whilst watching science at NASA. You know, I'd watch it before going to sleep each night, if there was a video released. And you'd watch it and think, at some point they'll show you something valid. This is before I was a flat earther. But every time I was aware of the fact it said animation in the bottom corner, they'd disclaim it. And you kind of go, oh, well, that's not so good. When are they going to show us the actual footage from the cameras? And you never got it. So you just think, okay.
I remember that too. That kind of thing.
Science.
I got a good one for you. I started flat smacking people on playing international video poker online, and I found that it really, really, really jacks up other people's games and makes me win a lot of money.
No way! Flat smacking gets people off their poker game.
Oh, absolutely!
That's brilliant.
I can emoji and live chat, and so I just start dropping like little micros on them, you know, just after we start, and just after I do, I'll like drop an all in on them, and you'll just see their whole game get rocked, and it just tanks them.
That's brilliant. That's great. Tactic for if you need to slyly get someone off their game, just drop a flat smack in there.
You'll be surprised that trick's gonna wear off pretty fast, because eventually everyone will have heard of it.
It's not a bad thing.
But it's good. It's inventive.
Wow, time's flown. It's only about 10 minutes, maybe a bit more left on the show. Before we have a break, that is. Time flies when you're having fun. Talking about bullshit NASA.
They're in trouble.
They've got to do something. I mean, with Bill Nye's... How old is that clip, Anthony? With Bill Nye saying, we live in a closed system. I need you kids to understand it. We're in a closed system, right? You got it closed. Closed system. Nothing's getting out, right? So, how old's that? Anthony.
Sorry, did somebody say my name?
Yeah, how old is the clip from Bill Nye where he's saying that we live in a closed system and being quite insistent about it?
How old is he?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Any chance you can find out when he said that?
Not right away. It'll take me time to work out which program it was on and stuff like that.
Sure. I'm just interested when they decided, right, we've got to change this narrative subtly now with mainstream Bill Nye telling the world it's closed, right? You got it closed.
You're gonna have to leave it with me. I'll have to do a bit of digging around and work out where it was from and stuff. So I reckon he's aimed it. I think that comment's aimed at children because they seem to be telling children that we can't go to the moon. But we all know that the Apollo was supposed to have happened, right? So they seem to be teaching children new history that we didn't get told.
Well, he was saying it in the context of trash climate change. He was saying it's a closed system and that there's nowhere else we can throw our trash. So we have to take care of our Earth because we're not going to be able to. We're going to run out of landfills.
Even in that context,
hold on, Anthony, hold on.
Well, of course it's wrong. It's all wrong. Space is fake, and going back to the fundamentals of that. But that was the context of it.
Guys,
before we round out, I do have a milk carton posting that needs to be read.
Go ahead.
It appears that there's one son of a dead lying astronaut that seems to be missing. Hasn't been heard of in a while. MIA. I think his name might have rhymed with Beach or something like that. But yeah, something like that. But I think he's on this milk carton here. I think I recognize him.
Was Scotty beamed up?
What are you talking about?
Oh, there just seems to be a,
oh right, so you've seen
absence. He's gone. He's gone.
M. Scott Beach has gone. Yeah, he seems to have disappeared.
He was beamed up.
Did anybody get validity to that rumour that was going around that he died in a vacuum chamber? Was that ever confirmed?
Yeah, that came from me, didn't it? That was all based on evidence that I hadn't read anywhere, and I didn't know that it existed. But I think there was an astronaut killed in a vacuum chamber, and I have no evidence to support it whatsoever. But it seems to be true.
If you write it down and publish it, that almost makes it fact.
That makes it true. Yeah, I might just do that.
Hey, Jose.
Yeah, it keeps kicking us.
Hey, how you doing?
Good to have you.
Hey,
Thank you,
Rasta
thank you.
hat
Good to
has
be
a
here.
Rasta hat on. Nice.
Hello, Eric. How you doing?
Lots
Hello,
of background.
Eric. Good to have you.
Aloha, afternoon, gentlemen.
Yo.
Hangout seems to be glitchy a little bit today, huh?
Yeah.
Not for me.
Seems fine for
It's
me.
kicking mobiles.
Yeah, it keeps kicking me and Jose and Chocolate.
Yeah, mobiles.
I've been kicked a few times as well.
Don't know why it's doing it.
There's been a big update with mobile phones, and there's like lots of apps have been canceled. They're breaking.
You're right, Arwen. You're right.
So according to
that's made an assertion about the apparent existence of M. Scott Beach. I'm just trying to remember where I saw it. Somebody said he's got a job somewhere. Let's find out where that was. And I'm going to ask: is there any evidence for M. Scott Beach actually having a job?
Yeah, according to Woz, he hasn't been seen for at least 2 weeks.
I think his eyeballs have been sucked out. I think he was testing his claim that you can exist in a vacuum chamber in a spaceman suit. And
He dressed up late in Daddy's suit one night and went and crawled in the vacuum chamber to give it a go.
Well, he's not registered as dead, so. I think he just went missing in action, like Rasta said.
Can you check on the death certificate, people, to see if Bill Miller is dead? Because we're still looking for him.
I saw him in chat the other day.
I got milk cartons with both their names on it.
That is awesome.
No, he's in chat. He's in chat, Bill Miller. Hey, Bill Miller.
Hey, yeah, shout out to Bill Miller in chat.
There you go. Bill Miller, we found him. Can you clear up the confusion then, Bill Miller? We were under the impression that you'd gone incognito.
So he exists then because he's on Facebook, on YouTube, right?
Yeah, that's as good as proof right there.
So is Bill Miller an engineer?
No, he's just appeared in the chat. Join the show, Bill Miller. Tell us all about how you're real.
Go to his channels and see if he has any content.
Yeah, we still got one spot on the panel. Oh, not anymore.
Hey, Chocolate.
Welcome back.
Go.
Oh, he's got no subscribers and a picture of Brian Mullen. Ah, that's a disappointment.
Oh, Bill Miller.
I think we'll have to write that one off. It's not really Bill Miller. You led us astray, Bill Miller.
Another liar.
It's just trolls drawing attention.
Bill Miller's getting a bit of a reputation. I think we should focus on Bill Miller and ignore the lies of George, just like NASA do with coke and drugs and stuff.
George Rattanuk.
I think also in NASA prevalent is the use of LSD. I think they use it a lot.
I really wouldn't be surprised about that.
Well, they need it because they need to test how well it is convincing, as it were.
How much acid do you need to give an astronaut for them to think they're in space? Is that what you're saying, Owen?
Also, that is also a possibility. I remember this type of stuff. Like, there's no way for me to confirm it, but I have a memory of being like a kid, I think like 8 years old. And I remember like an actual astronaut, might have been Dutch or something, coming to school, handing out cups with water, whatever. Had no idea what was going on, and then just letting us all drink and then explain about space and everything, and it was amazing. So yeah,
Sounds like acid to me.
Yeah, in retrospect, it does so to me, and I was so fascinated that I just like fell in love with it a lot.
What, space?
With space or the acid?
This is what I just, yeah, space.
Well, yeah.
Or the acid.
Well, the acid was probably the thing that made it pop so much in my feelings.
It doesn't pop. According to them, you can have it without a membrane.
Yeah, but that's
pressure gradients. Pressure gradients. Pressure gradients.
It's the sense of the dream of it, and just visualizing it, and thinking of the possibilities. That's what it's all about. It's a giant fantasy land. One of the oldest fantasy lands there is.
It's called space porn.
Yeah. Well, it is part of fear porn. It's to make you feel like your existence is meaningless. You know, you're a tiny speck of dust. You're totally insignificant in the grand scheme of things.
Yet they use that same speech to try to make you think that you can go all over the place and like visit all of these places, and you know, there's always our little safe little homeland Earth, but you know, all these other places are highly accessible, and you know, we can absolutely go there because you know, they're there.
Godverdomme.
Cool. Who's gonna round out before we actually round out? As I say, we're gonna have a 10-minute break shortly. So, anything anybody wants to add before I do round out this part of the show?
Keep it flat.
Yeah, I'll finish off by saying that coming up in the next show, we're going to be discussing what we're going to do with the Sean Hufford debacle, because we've now done the presentation, we've recorded the evidence and showed what it shows, and the question becomes a game of tactics. What do we do? Do we kill all three, or do we kill two and get one with a bigger kill? So that's coming up in the next one.
Cool.
Tantalizing.
Good stuff. Well, with that, I'm going to say first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. If you hated the show, then you know exactly what to do. But if you like the show, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you've not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!